Hi, this is Sarah, the Stitchin Mommy, and it's Monday, March 8th, 2021, and I'm here for my weekly stitching update. So I have a lot to show you and not a lot of time. I'm sure this will probably end up being in two chunks because I didn't get a ton of stitching time on certain days, but since I worked on a different thing every day, that there's just a lot to show. And I'm going to be working on a different thing every day this week too, because that's my plans for March, is to do one day. Every day will be something different. And I will have a couple duplicates here and there based on the history sprints in Full Coverage Fanatics, because some prompts worked really well with the same piece, but I'm organizing them in the month based on when that event occurred, and I'll share that in a little bit when I get to plans. But so some things we'll see a repeat later in the month. They're not back to back. So everything, I'm switching every day. So as you'll see coming up here, some things have a disappointing amount of progress and some things have a pretty nice amount of progress. But it varies based on how much stitching time I got on a particular day. And since I'm changing every day, there's really no way to catch up, because if I take an additional day to catch up, then I'm shortchanging that day's project instead, you know? So I really couldn't do a whole lot of catch up. So it is what it is, and it's been fun, and I will continue to ride this daily switching thing all throughout the month of March, so buckle up. Let's see. First off, I guess I can share a little bit of stitchy stuff I got. I got a few patterns from the Fat Quarter Shop this Monday, and I think I'm going to get the 9th one in the Prim Stitch series this afternoon, which is kind of scary because I haven't started the 8th one. I'm getting farther and farther behind, and I think stitching that one I'm still working on 7, so I think number 6 is the one where I did most of it in regular cross stitching. I didn't do as many specialty stitches. It really slowed me down trying to do that whole house in full crosses. So anyways, it is what it is. I'll catch up eventually. I didn't really have a good spot to plug in working on the Prim Stitch series for a whole day in March, but maybe in April I'll do that. As so far, I'm just working on these for various travel stitchings when I can catch a moment here and there. So it's making progress, but not super fast. But these are some things I got. First off, I guess I'll show you, I got a couple quilt patterns, which I'm still not sure if I want to get back into quilting. I did some quilting before in high school and college, and it's fun. I still have scraps left over. There's a quilt that Charlene over at the Witchy Stitchers showed on Facebook that's got a lot of tiny little pieces, and I looked up that brand online that she showed me where she got it. And they have a couple other ones with tiny little pieces. Very tempted by some of those because I do have a lot of little scraps left over, and so the frugal side of me thinks it would be fun to do something with a bunch of little pieces and maybe just get 1 or 2 neutral fabrics and just use up a bunch of my scraps to make something. But I don't have a lot of need for quilts in Southern California. It doesn't really get that cold here. And I don't really need another hobby right now. I'm kind of up to my neck in cross stitching. So as it is, I'm already wishing I had time to do diamond painting and scrapbooking and, you know, all the things, and I just don't because I keep making too many plans in cross stitch. But I'll keep these quilt patterns for now, and maybe someday when my kids are grown and I have more time on my hands, maybe I'll want to do more of that. I also have a couple patterns, and I think I'll be giving both of these away, so stay tuned for the keywords. This first one is Santa Baby. These are by the Fat Quarter Shop. This one was in the Stitch Quarterly thing that they do, where you get a special pattern exclusive, and I think you get some of the finishing trims and flosses and things. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I don't really decorate with Santa or stitch Santa, even though this is super cute. It looks like it is just his face right here. The rest of this is like fabric finishing, and this looks like a like a artwork piece that says Merry Christmas on it, but they just mounted this too. So the actual stitching is just this part right here. And it looked like it was done on a minty green fabric, so you would not stitch the background, just Santa. An old, vintage looking Santa. So he's pretty cute, but I wouldn't stitch him. So go ahead and use the word Santa if you want to be entered for this. Anywhere in the world is fine. Please don't use the word free or giveaway or win or enter or any of those keywords, because I want to make sure you guys get these patterns, not some trolls. And then this one is the number 8 Prim Stitch series, which I already have my copy, so this is an extra copy. So I'll again offer this up to you guys. This is a cute one with a girl and her big skirt and the adorable quilty sheep. So I'm excited to start this one, but I haven't quite gotten there. Let's go ahead and use the word sheep. Sometimes I use these words, but we'll use Santa and sheep. So anywhere in the world is fine. And if you would like either of these, let me know by using that word in the comments, and I'll draw for those next week. And yeah, I should be getting the next one, number 9, my copy, later today. So we'll have to see what that one looks like. But I'm kind of filled with angst because I have not yet gotten my number 7 done, and I have not yet started number 8, and now number 9 is on its way. But since we're talking about that, I will go ahead and show mine. This is number 7, Faith and Endurance. This one is a church, a bird, and a huge pot of flowers. And here is my progress this week compared to last week. Mine are stitched on the called for fabric, which is 25 count vintage cloth in the color Prim. And I am stitching mine 1/1 instead of 2/2, which they recommend. And then I'm also adding random specialty stitches or just kind of making stuff up. 1, because texture is fun, and 2, sometimes it does help things go a little quicker. So that's kind of my motivation. And then I went ahead and added a cross at the top of the church as well. That was not charted, but I felt like it needed to be there. So I went ahead and got these flowers finished, except for the centers. I haven't done those yet. And then I did the greenery and got started on the pot. Don't know if I had the whole church done. I might have finished that since last time too. I'm not sure where it was last time. So slowly but surely, I am working on this. And I was gonna work on this typography piece in the car on the way to church yesterday. And then I remembered in the car on the way to church that my pattern is on Pattern Keeper and I don't have the printout with me in my travel bag. So that makes it really hard to work on when you don't have the pattern. So I had to work on this during some of my normal stitching time yesterday, which yesterday ended up being really full compared to some Sundays. So I got very little done on my regular projects. I didn't get anything done on Iris, so kind of a weird day, but it's all good anyways. So I got my stitching caught up on this one. So this is where typography is, temperature typography, compared to last week. This is on some unknown pale blue 28 count even weave. I'm doing mine 1/1. And my M is a little bit clowny, just like this A was. The Y is fairly normal, similar to the R, I guess. So we've had like, but these occasional like pops of purple is just the weather kind of rolling. It looks cooler today as well. Yesterday was kind of cool. So, but we'll get cool days and then spike up again. And so we're kind of doing this roller coaster thing, which is pretty typical of spring in Southern California. It doesn't get really cold ever, it just a little bit cold. So this, for example, I'm using just the highs because in my experience, the high temperatures give you the most variety as compared to lows or averages. So if you're just using one color per day on these temperature pieces, I would recommend using high temperatures. So this high temperature, the purple one, was 51, and the one, I think this green in here was 77. So that's like 2 days later, We had a high of 51 and a high of 77. So that's kind of the rolly, you never know what one day is going to be compared to the other. just a mixed bag. And none of it is unpleasant. It's all nice. It's just sometimes it's hard even to know how to dress. Like, should I put on long sleeves? Should I put on short sleeves? You layer in the evening. I can't complain though. It is nice, a nice place to live in February, that's for sure. So that's my travel stitching. Hopefully I'll continue to get work on that this week. And I did get a little bit more done on my Mill Hill kit. I work on this every Monday now for Mill Hill Monday. This is my just put in a couple links to thread project, not my focus piece on Monday. So I still have something else that I work on more on Monday, but I do a little bit of this every Monday, and it's nice to just kind of chip away at it and get some progress. So this is Winged Monarch, my first Mill Hill kit. It won't be my last because I do like it. This is stitched on with the called for everything perforated paper, which is interesting. I've had some people ask about it. It is a stiff paper. It's not plastic. It's very, very thick, but it is different than plastic canvas, which I grew up using. This is finer and thinner. You can rip it, I think, so you got to be careful with that. But so this is compared to last week. I went ahead and added in some back stitching. There was some burgundy. There's a little bit there you can see. It's hard to see it. There's some burgundy on these three flowers, burgundy lines, and then there was some pink lines on this one because the actual stitches were a little darker on that one. And then I went ahead and pulled a string of medium green and got started on that. And I noticed there were some random pink symbols out there in the middle of nowhere. So I realized there were some tiny little flower colors that I had not realized were there. And there will also be some beads making those flowers even more noticeable later. So here we are up here and in here. That's a button right there. And then over here. So I went ahead and finished the string of medium green and then filled in all the random little bits that I had missed the first time around. So now I think all the flower colors are stitched. And next time I pull this out, well, today, later, I'll work more on this since it's Monday. I'll continue to work on the medium green, I think. So there we go. Still fun to work on that. And I guess now we can jump into what I worked on this week. I already went through everything I worked on this week was for the Full Coverage Fanatics History Sprints, and I will talk more about this in plans. Since I went over the details of this last week, I won't rehash what everything was for, but what I'm doing basically is there's an event that was in March and there's a theme associated with it. I'm stitching for the theme, not counting my stitches. So I'm just choosing to do one day on each piece. So let's see. On Monday last week, I worked on Waterfall in Yosemite. This one was for landscape theme, and I didn't get very much on it. I'm kind of sad. So here is all of it, and I worked in here. I'll probably do a before and after of just that sky part because that's what I worked on. I worked right in here and filled in some of this. I had a length of thread on my needle. It was super long, and that's all I got done. Is I got that thread worked in, and I even had to do like 15 stitches the next day just to finish my thread. I didn't want to leave it hanging again. So kind of disappointing. I ran out of time on Monday. So I worked 116 stitches. Not a lot, but something. And this is one that will be coming out later in the month. Let's see, I have it down for the 22nd. So I'll work on it again. Oh, that's also a Monday. Maybe that Monday will be kinder to me than last Monday was. So, and I'll get more opportunity to work on it. So only a little bit, and that's kind of the downside to switching projects every day, is if that particular day ran out of time because life happened. That's just, as my grandma would say, that's the way the cookie crumbles. So it is what it is. The next thing I worked on was Empress Eugenie. And this one actually got a better progress. This one had 501 stitches. So pretty happy with that. Here's where this one got to in that day. And this is on the last one, sorry, the waterfall was on 18 count antique white Aida with 2 strands. This is a 28 count 2 strand half stitch over 1. So it's tinier. And I kept working along the top picking colors, and I ended up, some of these shades, as you can see, are lighter than these shades over here. So some of them actually kept going. In order to finish my string, I kept going wherever they were used. And I believe this right here is the first lady's head. So that's pretty cool. I didn't think I would get anywhere near the ladies for a long time. And I just realized I'm not showing you the cover pictures. How long have I been doing this? So here's Waterfall in Yosemite. And I was just up here in the sky so far. And here is Empress Eugenie. This is a golden kite, and I am actually cropping the top 2 rows off. So I've been stitching right about here, and then some of these colors, I think this is the dark part I was stitching, and this is the lighter part, and it came down here and was actually in some of these folds in her hair right there. So that's pretty fun. I'll show you again now that you've seen the cover picture. So here's the tree, the darker tree on this side, and then the lighter patch coming through, and then the folds on her, the back of her hair right here. And this is just some more background up here. So that's fun to kind of start to, I love when I can identify some foreground in these pictures. It always makes it more fun for me than just whittling away at the background for an eternity. It's necessary, but it is fun to have some context while you're stitching. All right, so next I worked on the Nativity. This one I think had a decent amount as well. Yeah, 402 half stitches, so not quite as many as the other one, but better than some this week. So this is the Nativity by Donna Gelsinger, the regular version. They also have a mini, I believe. Which one is this? This one? So here's this now. This is also on 28 count 2 over 1 half stitches, but this is white Monaco. And as you can see, hopefully, that I worked up here mainly, picking colors, and I think some of it came down here, but mostly kind of up here, I think. So it was fun to kind of get more going along the branch there. This one is a fun one to start with, in that corner. That is the typical upper left-hand start for a lot of stitchers. There's actually something going on. It's not just black or gray or, you know, something weird in the background. It's a tree. You know, you can see it right away. Super cool. That one's fun to work on because of that. You get to see something right away. And so that first page is finished, which is fun to see something happening right away. There it is. And the next one I worked on was Three Sisters. This one, 147 stitches, and it took a long time because it was all confetti. So it's probably hard to see what I worked on, but I did work on it. So here is all of it. And this is on 18 count white Aida, just the kind I got in a craft store in a tube. So it's like a yard long. I was working in parked threads. So I think I started with whatever was along the top here. There's still a few here, but less than there used to be. And so I worked them in. Some of them were down here. Some of them I kind of worked in up here, just wherever they needed to be. So this is really where I worked on. And it's hard, probably hard to see exactly what I did, but hopefully you can see that there's a little bit accomplished. That'll be the goal for the next time I pull this out, is to continue working on those part threads and get them worked in. Since I do prefer working without parked threads at this point in my stitching journey. Okay, and then I worked on His Name is Jesus, actually, for a little bit with Desiree. I call her every 2 weeks, and we'll work on this together while we're talking. So let's get this out. It's in Pattern Keeper as well, so it's in my folder with all my other full coverage pieces. So this is the one I'm working on with Desiree. So here is my His Name is Jesus so far. I'm doing mine on Ivory Lugana 1/1 full crosses with Victorian motto threads that I chose. This one is a dark blue. I think it's called Sampler Blues. And I also have a red and a gold. So I thought that was fun. And so I got the word, I think I had finished Prince last time, or maybe not, maybe I might have started the O. I think I had finished Prince before. I was working on Of and got started on Peace. So I had a thread dangling last time and I didn't really like that. I like to finish my string. So this time I managed to finish my string and do one more thread completely. So there's no string hanging this time. I'll just start a fresh string next time. So, and I like that better. So I'll probably try to do that and get one length of thread done every time you visit. And this is, 28 count 1/1. So one string goes a long way. Anyways. But this is fun. And if you want to see Desiree's progress, she is the Addicted Stitcher here on Flosstube. And she's doing hers on 18 count opalescent fabric with some bright, cheerful colors. She's working in the center right now in purple. So that's fun. It's fun to see the different colorways that you can choose for this design. You could do it all monochromatically. You could choose 3 different shades like they suggest, or a whole bunch of colors. So it's fun to see the differences there. And then also on Friday, I worked, my main focus piece was Quick Stitch Iris for the theme of flowers in History Sprints. So that's this one, but this is also my daily piece. So this got at least 65 stitches on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, supposed to be Sunday, but I didn't actually get to it on Sunday. And then I got more significant amount on Friday because it was my focus piece. 202 stitches on Friday. I actually have a string hanging on here. I don't usually, but it kind of just depends on what I'm working on at the time. So this is where I'm at now with Quick Stitch Iris. This is 1/1 on 25 count. Full crosses. And I'm filling in more of this purple flower, which is really fun. Got some more over here filled in, maybe some over here. I don't know, I'm working my way across, picking whatever symbol is blank and filling it in until it runs out or until the color's done. I think I finished another color or 2. That's always fun. So on Sunday, I just had run out of all the time. I was working on organizing my kids' closets and things this weekend, so that kind of took up a lot of time and pushed into regular free time that I usually have on the weekend. So, and then Sunday we're also, since the football season is over, we now are having a family movie night on Sunday night, so that takes up some time too. I decided not to work on Quick Stitch Iris on Sunday because I wanted to get to my main piece for the History history sprints in full coverage fanatics. I knew if I worked on iris, I wouldn't probably get to my focus piece at all. And I didn't want that to happen because I wouldn't have a way to make it up. And so I went ahead and just skipped iris. I'm a little bit ahead, so I have the freedom to do that. So I went ahead and just worked on Sunday, yesterday, I worked on a little bit more of Princess and the Sea, which I'll show you now, because I had some thread still on my needle and I didn't want to leave it there. It was just a little bit. So I worked a little bit on that to finish my thread, did my M on temperature typography to finish that up, and then went straight to my focus piece. And I skipped quick stitch iris on Sunday, but really that's still a lot of stitching on Sunday. So it's kind of strange, even though I didn't get to one I had planned to get, but I still got a lot of other things done. So just have to make choices sometimes. So yeah, Saturday was Princess of the Sea. Got a decent amount done on this one. This is also by Donna Gelsinger. She did the nativity that I'm also working on. And I'm also doing this one with Dove Gray Monaco and a 2/1/2 stitch, which is what I'm doing Empress Eugenie. So there's a few crossovers here, but this is where I'm at now. And 2/1/2 stitch, if I didn't say. And so I worked up in the sky. I was a good girl and stuck with picking colors along the top and working them in, trying to hug the top as much as possible to work my way across. But because some of these colors I could have just kept going down here, but I wanted to try to make my way across the top. So it's pretty fun. There's still some holes in here. It's not completely filled in yet. The blue you see is fabric. But it's coming along. I think it's still got a ways to go before we get over to the other side. So about halfway across the top now, I think. Getting there. This is a fun one to work on, so I enjoy that. And then Sunday, the focus piece that I wanted to make sure to get to was the love letter. And this one still has a little bit of stigma involved because it's been kind of a tough one to work on at times. But now that I'm working in the parked threads, it's starting to ease into happy places. So last time I worked in a bunch of parked threads over here, and now I was working in some parked threads up on the top. I didn't get very much time on this one, as I said. Princess of the Sea got like 450 stitches total. This one only got 105. So this is the one that got the least amount of progress. But at least it's something. I wanted to make sure I at least got to the 100 mark before I put it away, and so I got that much. So some of these ended up going around the edge of her hat, which is really fun. So it's making it, as I get things framed out, it's making it a little bit more enjoyable to work on. So I am excited to pull this out more and work on it a little bit more often. I'm curious, did I include it for anything else this month? No, I guess not. But I think it'll come out again for something else down the road, I'm sure. It might be a good goal to have before the end of this year, this calendar year, to get all my parked threads worked in on the pieces that I no longer want to park. So there's still April Fairy that I'm still parking on, but all the other ones where I'm choosing to stop parking, that should be a good goal to try to get that finished on all of these pieces before the end of the year. So you heard it here first, folks. So here is where I'm at now on the love letter. I'll have to get creative with where my before picture goes because I got really far over to this side. It's almost to the edge. I think it's another 20 stitches to the edge of the piece. I worked on a tiny bit more over here, and down this edge got filled in a little bit too, because even some of these colors ended up being nowhere over here other than maybe a handful of stitches up here, a handful of stitches right here, and then there were a few more over here. So I went ahead and filled that in a little bit more. And I filled one in all the way down here, and then it kind of kept going until my thread ran out, and the edge of the page, the design is about here. So this is the edge of her hat, which is super cool. And I went ahead, rather than, I believe this was a solid color even, so I could have just cut it and not worried about it, put it back. A lot of times if I've got a blend on my needle, I want to try to just use it up and not have to worry about putting it back on 2 bobbins and whatnot. But solid colors, I'm usually a little bit more lenient and just cut it and put it back and not worry about it. But because I've got all of these creams and yellows started in the hat, I thought it could be nice to have the outline started, and then when I get to these part threads, I'll have more structure ready to be able to fill in more of the hat. So I went ahead and did it because there was a decent amount of, you know, they were fairly close together to be able to count confidently. So that's where she's at now. Pretty cool to kind of start to see more of the structure coming together. I love that. Oh, and this is 25 count also, but I'm doing it 2/1 half stitches. It's the same fabric I'm doing quick stitch iris on, but this is half stitches, and that is iris is full cross. And since this is a golden kite, it does have blends. So that's why I needed to do 2 strands. I think this might be a good stopping point because I think that's everything I worked on this week. I'll go get my kids some lunch and then I'll come back and share with you my plans for the coming week starting today. So see you in a minute. All right, so my plans for this week, I will again be continuing with history sprints, and I'm trying to line up the date where the event in history lands on, like the anniversary of that date, as much as possible. If there's duplicate dates, then they'll be next to each other. And so now going into this week, there were a few holes where I didn't have one of these to fill in. So I'm going to go ahead and put in a non-full coverage piece in those holes. So I'll continue to switch every day, but I will not be just full coverage this week. So most of it will still be in Pattern Keeper though, which is fun. So this first one, I was able to pick up with my family pieces, which I haven't done yet this month. So my first one is Simpsons, which I'm doing for my husband. And this one is normally on the first or thereabouts. So it's the first one that once I had a hole in my full coverage fanatics challenge, this one got filled in. So I'll work on this one today, assuming I have some time after my Mill Hill kit. So here's where I'm at now. This is on 40 count, white vertical even weave, 1/1 half stitches. It's very tiny, and I still have a lot of like outlining stitches left, like around her hair and in these bits up here. So this top bit is not finished, but in order to get some proper progress on this, I like to combine some time on the confetti bits around the edges and the fill-in solid colors. The solid colors go really fast and make a lot of progress, but I do want to try to chip away at those edge confetti stitches. So I'm not sure how my stitching time will look today. If I'm running low, like really low on time, I'll just pick a block color and go for it and see how much I can get done. If I feel like I have a little bit more time to work with, I'll go ahead and maybe do a short length of thread on confetti stitches and then choose a block. Because it is fun to at least do some block stitching, because then you guys have something to see that there's been progress made. So anyways, I'll work on that today for a little bit. And then I'll work on History Sprint for the event on March 9th, 1964. The first Ford Mustang was produced. And so the theme there, it is mode of transportation. So I'm going to work on my Norwegian ship under sail, actually opened directly to, because this is a mode of transportation. And so I would go for this. Last time I worked on it, I kind of hop, skipped, and jumped my way across the top of the, not the last time I worked on it, I guess. Recently, I worked across the top. So I have the whole top kind of outlined, and I did come down here a little bit and pick up a few stitches in the sails. I will probably continue to work in the sky to keep filling in along the top. But this is also on the 25 count fabric that I'm doing quick stitch iris and love letter on, and it is let's see, 2/1 half stitches. So that's where I'm at right now. I have several columns finished at the beginning here, but not actually a page finish. And a lot of bits all the way across. So I believe this is either the very end or close to the end. And this is the start of outlining of some sails and rigging and stuff. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, so that's where I'm starting. Likely you'll see this part worked on. That's kind of my expectation. And Tuesday I have Bible study, so it is another day that likely won't get a ton of time, but so that's why I'll just go ahead and stay in the sky and hopefully find some colors that have a lot of stitches in the same color in the same area, and I can just fill in a little bit. So that's my hope. The next day is a break from Full Coverage Fanatics, and I'll be doing Cupcake Dreams, which is a fairly new start. I think it was in January maybe I started this, but this was a Tilton Crafts freebie. I'm not sure if it's back up again. I believe they were, I don't know a whole lot about Tilton Crafts, but I think they were switching their website around and maybe getting it to a new server or something, and at least temporarily had all the freebies taken down, but I think there was plans to put them back up at some point, because she had a few cute freebies on there, including this one. So this one is in Pattern Keeper. The stated stitch count includes a wide white border of stitching, which is not going to happen. So I have changed the stitch count to be the actual cupcake stitching, which is 105 by 161. So it's pretty reasonably sized. And I am stitching mine on some 28 count, like minty colored Jubilee even weave. So that's my start. Maybe if it's on here, you'll see the green. Yeah, it's like that. It's a nice soft green. So a nice springy color. I thought this would be fun to pull out again here in the spring. So far, I did a lot of these confetti stitches in the tops of the strawberries, kind of just picking colors from the top down like I've been doing. And so I'll continue to do that, and we'll see where that will get me. Whether I'll start with, there's some white in here too. It's hard to see that, but I'll go ahead and I'm curious to see if I'll get to any of the strawberry colors this time around. I don't know. It's been too long since I looked at this pattern to see how much more of the greenery I have left to go before I can get to some other things. So we'll see together. You'll find out next time what I managed to work on. So then I go back to History Sprints. The event for March 11th, 1302 would have been Romeo and Juliet's wedding day. So the theme there is love, romance, and couples. And so I'm going to do the end of the ball because that's a nice romantic couple piece. I did this recently for the romance theme in the bookshelf challenge of Full Coverage Fanatics last month. So you've seen this fairly recently. I'm up here mainly in these drapes, in the curtains. I think I might have a couple stitches in her head, but mostly I'm focusing at the top there. This one is on I have a pretty needle minder that matches the design, which is fun. I forget, I think somebody gave that to me, but I can't remember now who. Sorry, if you gave that to me, thank you. I love it. So here I am. This is 24 count Congress cloth, which is a stiff needlepoint, almost a canvas. And I'm doing this 2/1 half stitches. Just working here in these folds of the curtains, like I said, and I think these stitches are in her hair, but I'm trying to be a good girl and focus up here and get more of the background chipped away. Again, it is fun to find the foreground pieces just to give context. So if a color appears down here, it's sometimes fun if it's within a countable distance to at least access it and start to outline it a little bit, because it does make it more fun to work on the background when you have something to look forward to. That's kind of a ghostly tracing of the good things to come but so far I've just been focusing on the background. And that's probably also what I will focus on. I thought I remember last time now, some of these holes up here were random colors that did not appear very many other places nearby. I think they had some in the man's head, like over here, and it was a little bit too far away to choose to count at that point. So I may continue to skip those this time and work on some other more fill-in colors in this area instead. So just because, again, with one day, I don't want to stray too far and complicate things and spend more time counting than I really need to. So, and then Friday, I'm planning to have a call with Colette, the Highway Stitcher. And while we are talking, we decided to work on this together because we've already, we started this for, Colette started this on her birthday in October, and I kind of hopped on the cell, and this is a drawn thread pattern. Those who wish to sing always find a song is what it says. And then there's a tree with these birds, house, and a bench. It's a very sweet design. Here's another a little bit bigger picture. Maybe it's about the same. I pulled my own flosses for this, so I don't think it's any of the called for colors, just things I had on hand. But because Colette and I share a few different whips that are the same, but this is a good one to work on while we're talking because it's not as complicated as some other ones. We're both working on the Heirloom Stitching Sampler. We're working on the full coverage African Woman with Peonies. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. But of those three, at least, this one is probably the best one to work on while you're chit-chatting. So that was her suggestion, and I liked that. I wasn't sure if we were going to be working on something together or just talking and working on whatever we wanted to, but it is fun to have a reason to pull this out again. So this is my start. I am doing this on a cut of, you can see there on the edge, it's Fabric Flare. This is Mushroom Slushy. It's a kind of a tannish, greenish, brownish color. And the most of this cut of fabric I used for my Nora Corbett Trick or Treat Halloween fairy. And then the rest of this was perfect size for this long and skinny piece. So I have those the start of a wish, and I do have thread on my needle still. And this is a printed fabric. As you can see, the back is white and the front is printed. So yeah, I'll keep going on the words at least. And yeah, those are cross-stitched leaves, but there are a few specialty stitches, and I think it's mainly just in the flowers. You can see it close up a little bit there. There's some flowers, specialty stitch flowers, but I think most everything else is cross-stitch. So that's where I'll be starting while we chit-chat. So we'll see how much I can get done on that while we're talking. And I'm doing this, this is 32 count even weave, and I'm doing 2/2 with the various full crosses, 2 strands, with the various fancy floss colors that I pulled from my stash. This kind of design is perfectly suited for just choosing to work with what you have already, especially since I've started to gather quite a collection of hand-dyed threads. So there's a variety here: Victoria Motto, Weeks Dye Works, Classic Color Works, General Art, Color and Cotton, a little bit of everything. So those are the colors I'm doing with that. And my main focus piece that I'll do later in the evening that day, will be the stitching shelf. And that's going to go along with March 12th, 1933, when FDR conducts his first fireside chat, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, one of our American presidents. So the theme there is fire or fireplace. And my first thought with this one was my stitching shelf, because there is a fireplace here in the winter scene, right down here. So I'm hoping I can access that and actually work on the fireplace during this prompt. So that's my plan for this one. Now let's pull it out and see if I can actually get there without too much work. I have a lot of structure in this one with bookshelves and scenes all over, and so I may or may not have an easy path to that scene, but we'll see. This is on 28 count Mushroom tea-dyed Monaco. It's not mushroom. Tea-dyed Monaco, the 2-stranded half stitch. And again, I'll show you the whole thing because I've got a little bit of everything worked on this. And it's, I think, right there in the middle is where the fireplace is, because here's my little snowman that I worked on for one of the prompts earlier in the year. And so yeah, I think I'll just show you that part. That'll be my before and after. And I probably will be able to work down somehow and connect into the fireplace. So that's my goal, is to maybe get maybe a darker color to outline some of the fireplace, and maybe hopefully a few of the brighter colors of the flames to actually work on the fire. That would be fun. So we'll see how much I can get done on that on Friday evening. It's a little bit of a chore to roll all of these back up. But I don't know, some of you may be newer to the channel. I stitch in hand with the fabric rolled in my left hand, and I stitch with the poke and pull method with my right hand. So for me, part of the reason I chose that method is because I don't like creases and wrinkles on my fabric. So I store them rolled up as well, and then I just unroll it to where I'm going to stitch, and I hold the roll in my hand and I start stitching, and then I can roll it back up and it stays smooth and nice in my eclectic assortment of tubes that I've gathered over the years. Okay, so my next one on Saturday, I'll be working on another secret piece. Simpsons is a secret from my husband, and this one is also going to be a secret from my husband because it's for our 20th anniversary. So this is Soda Stitches By the Window in the Morning, and I looked at their website and I don't currently see it listed on there, so I think it's Jeannie's Cross Stitch on Etsy, and you could maybe send them a message and see if they have any more copies of this available or are willing to print more, because I got it there and they had great customer service. I actually made an error when I ordered it and ordered the wrong one on accident, and I immediately sent them a message and said, oops, I actually meant to order this one. They were the same price. Could you please swap it and give me this one instead? And they were great, and I got the right one shipped to me all the way from Korea, so that's great. Anyway, so I'm working on this. I will be working on this for my 20th anniversary, which is next year, so I've about 1.5 years to work on it. I had this 18 count Devosa, I think, in like a beige color that I'm working on it, and that's my start. Only worked on this one day so far, and this is all the white from like a pillow and the edge of the man's shoulder and head. So I'll continue to work on things towards the top, like the window, and I'm gonna make it a starry scene in the background to go with the quote, an Ernest Hemingway quote that I want to add to it. So I'll probably play a little bit with the window, with the window pane frame and the curtains and things, because I might be doing a little bit of color changing in that area. So we'll see. We'll see how much I can get done on this on Saturday and still be sneaky about it. And my last plan is another history sprints for the 14th. So this one is March 14th, 1794, Eli Whitney patents the cotton gin. And so the theme for that one is clothing of any type. I decided to go ahead and do my African woman repeats because she is wearing clothing. So this one I did work on, not this past week, but the week before, and I managed to get a good way across the top of the design, and I did some of this branch, I did some of her face. Yes, so cool. So we'll see how much I can get done on her on Sunday. This is 25 count vintage cloth and prim, the same stuff I'm doing the Prim Stitch series on. I believe this is pretty much the full width of the design. Doing this 2/1 half stitches. And I'm super cool that you can start to see so much started. Looks like the first empty stitches on the top row is about there. I've got all the other top row stitches filled in. So I'll start picking these colors and continue to fill them in and just go row by row, filling it in and stitching the thread until it runs out with each one I choose. So that's my favorite method so far, and I really love the results. So that'll be fun. Hopefully this Sunday I'll get a little bit more time than I did yesterday. A lot of times Sunday is my biggest stitching day, but not this last week, not yesterday. And now that we're watching a movie in the afternoon or late in the early evening, it kind of cuts into that a little bit more too. So, but it's still fun. Making memories with your family is more important than cross stitching. So, I think that's all I can do for now. So you've seen my plethora of projects ready to go for this week, and it's been fun. It's a very different style of stitching, changing every day, but it's fun to do once in a while. So I'm having a good time with that. If you're doing any of the numerous March mayhem, madness, pick your poison, all the different various March themes that are floating around there in the stitching community, have fun with that, whichever one you're working on. And I look forward to seeing you, Lord willing, in another week to show you what I managed to do on these projects. So in the meantime, happy stitching. Bye.